The moment the war ended, Earth's skies were filled not with fireworks, but with silence. After 15 years of brutal galactic war with the Drekneri Empire, humanity had finally earned its place in the galactic concord through blood and iron. The Drekneri were a race of towering reptilian-feline hybrids, their society built on combat and rigid honor. Their warriors were legendary, especially their females, who served as both generals and diplomats. According to Concord law, a post-conflict peacekeeping force would be assembled, composed of mixed-species teams to prevent future flare-ups. That's how I, Sergeant Mason Ward of the Terran Expeditionary Corps, ended up stationed on Drekner 3, a humid jungle moon, and assigned to a squad led by Commander Shirathal of the Black Mane cohort. Let me be clear. I was prepared for cold professionalism, perhaps open hostility. I wasn't prepared for her. Shirathal was nearly 7 feet tall, muscle-bound, graceful, and covered in shimmering midnight scales. Her slit-pupilled eyes glowed amber in the jungle sun. Her armor was ornamental but battle-worn, and she moved like a coiled predator with every step. She spoke little at first, only giving orders. Followed them. She fought like thunder when wild beasts or rebel holdouts attacked our patrols. I supported her. Days turned to weeks, and slowly something changed. We started talking. We traded war stories. We argued over tactics. She even smirked once when I beat her in a logic-based board game. It was after a patrol that it happened. She had just felled a monstrous six-eyed drake with a spear toss so precise it could have won an Olympic medal. As we surveyed the beast's corpse, adrenaline still high, I looked over and said, "Damn, Commander. That was incredible. You're seriously amazing." She froze. Her head tilted slightly. Eyes narrowed. Tongue flicked out. Drekneri did that when confused or curious. "You speak words of proposal, human Mason." And blinked. "What?" "No, I was just giving you a compliment." She growled low. "You said I was amazing. That my prowess stirred you. You dared to use a sacred bonding phrase without full awareness. And just like that, my life took a turn I never saw coming." Middle. The Drekneri didn't have a word for flirting. They had mating declarations, life challenges, and combat duels that could end in marriage. Turns out, telling a Drekneri warrior, especially a female commander, that she's amazing in the heat of battle was equivalent to asking for her claw in marriage. My words had been interpreted as both romantic admiration and a challenge to prove myself worthy of her affection. When I tried to explain the misunderstanding, Shirathal stared at me long and hard before saying, "You will accompany me to the bond trial, human. You have made the vow. You will not be a coward." I was escorted, confused and slightly terrified, to a giant ceremonial arena carved from obsidian rock in the jungle. Other Drekneri warriors surrounded it, murmuring excitedly. The humans in my unit were laughing behind their comms. "You broke the ice all right," Private Diaz snorted. "You're about to become a legend, Sarge," muttered Lieutenant Varma. The bond trial wasn't about fighting Shirathal, thank the stars. Instead, I had to face 3 challenges to prove my worth. A hunt, a trial of endurance, and a declaration of intent. Challenge 1. Survive the jungle and bring back a skyret, a beast with venomous barbs and gliding wings. I used tech, traps, and a lot of running, but I brought one back alive, barely. The crowd roared. Challenge 2. Endure the trial flame. Stand beneath a heat torch while reciting a warrior's chant. The chant was in Drekneri. I butchered the pronunciation, sweated like a pig, and nearly passed out, but I didn't yield. The final challenge was the declaration. I was told to speak from my soul, explaining why I desired the bond. This was insane. I didn't want a bond. This was a mistake. But as I stood there facing her, her stance proud, eyes fixed on mine waiting, I realized something. She didn't force me. She didn't demand my compliance. She was giving me a chance to walk away with honor. But I didn't want to. In our patrols she'd saved my life twice. She shared her food when rations ran low. She growled whenever other Drekneri mocked me for being small or soft. She once stood guard over my sleeping body during a storm. And when I spoke, she listened. So I stepped forward and said, "Commander Shirathal, you are fierce, honorable, and terrifying in all the best ways. When I said you were amazing, I didn't know what it meant to your people. But now I do. And honestly, I don't regret it. If you'd still have me, even knowing I'm just a human, I'd like to earn whatever this bond means." For the first time since I met her, Shirathal smiled. Not a smirk, not a sneer. A real sincere smile. Ending. The bond ceremony was intense. Fire, chants, shared blood over blades. We were bound not by law or tradition alone, but by choice. She presented me with a small token, a black scale ring carved from her own discarded armor. In return, I gave her something from Earth. My grandfather's old dog tags. It wasn't traditional, but she hung it from her neck with pride. The news spread across the Concord like wildfire. "Drekneri commander accepts human mate," the headlines read. Some praised it as a symbol of unity. Others saw it as scandalous. The Drekneri Council called for her resignation. She refused. Flatly. "This bond," she said in the council chamber, gripping my hand tightly, "is not weakness. It is strength. If you punish strength, then your empire is already dying." And they backed off. We returned to patrols, this time as equals, bonded partners. The jungle didn't change. The beasts still attacked. The rebels still skirmished. But we fought side by side. Our quarters were now shared. She made a hammock for me because Drekneri beds were too tall. I introduced her to coffee. She introduced me to bloodfruit, which tastes like steak dipped in cherry syrup. We argued over tactics, laughed during meals, and every now and then, she'd nuzzle my neck with that dangerous smirk. One night, after a long mission, she pulled me close and whispered, "You almost died today, soft skin." I grinned. But I didn't. I had the most amazing warrior watching my back. Her eyes narrowed playfully. "You keep calling me amazing, you'll end up with more than just one bond mark." "Oh no," I said, mock scared. "Are there levels of bonding?" She purred. "Oh yes. And the next one involves a duel, in bed." The galaxy was vast. War still loomed in dark corners. But we had each other now. And in that wild, humid jungle moon, a human and a Drekneri warrior rewrote the meaning of strength, one compliment at a time.